Alrighty, hello every folks, and good morning. Welcome to another edition of Know Your Tic Tacs. Today we talk about the Bard, the singer, the ultimate support, and the guy whose name of Bard song over there always makes me start hearing Blind Guardian songs. Now, that being said, the Bard is, in my book, the sort of ultimate support. They are essentially somebody that's able to throw out debuffs at a way higher quantity than many others are reasonably capable of, and additionally are able to boost the kind of most convenient things that end up potentially breaking the game over time. So effectively, they start off a doom timer from the moment that they start that allows you to win. Let's go ahead and get down here. So what's interesting is that despite the fact that many of their abilities will scale off of MA, they specifically only mention them down in the skill category rather than up here, which usually they like mentioning them up here. That's neither here nor there. It's just kind of a weird quirk. Anyways, they have two different unique weapon types, having instruments and bags, since male characters are not able to use those in any other instance. And then from there we go down to the songs. And again, going back to the previous thing I mentioned, it's kind of funny that they mention the Seraph song, and then they sort of skip calling the Life Anthem to pretend that it's all still just another version of the Seraph song over here, where they have the MP and healing songs at the same time. I'm not sure why that is written so weird, but whatever. I guess they wanted to be consistent, but they also wanted to mention two of them at the same time. Whatever. Let's go ahead and get to it here. So, as far as their abilities are concerned, this is another case where the sort of endgame classes ended up clearly being intended to be unlocked in a different order, but they really didn't feel like giving them different costs for whatever reason. So Seraph Song is going to give you permanent MP on all of your units. Life Song is basically going to give you permanent health on all of your units. The reason that I say that is because these are just going to trickle heal MP and HP to everybody throughout the entire team. Now this is based off of your MA, so you just go ahead and make that number go up, and all of a sudden you can get some pretty great returns out of this. It should be worth mentioning here that you can combine this with a secondary, and or just use this as a secondary, with Ramza's Galanai class to basically boost these on himself in order to boost them on everybody else. So, for example, if he keeps on boosting his speed and his MA at the same time, and then all of a sudden, oh, whoopsie, look at that, now all of a sudden he's just given, like, permanent triple healing to everybody. That's kind of nutty, you know? From there, we have Rousing Melody, which will go and improve the speed of the entire team. Battle Chant, which will go and improve the PA of the entire team. Magical Refrain, which will increase the MA of the entire team. And then one of my favorite abilities in the game, which is Nameless Song, which allows you to go cast multiple different on everybody at the same time. So this gives you essentially a random roll of Protect, Shell, Regen, Reraise, and Haste. Essentially, this is going to constantly give a barrage of some of the best to just speed up your entire team, get all of their defenses up in order, get them re-raised, whatever else. This frees up so much more actions on the rest of your team. Like, I appreciate the convenience of this class to an absolutely absurd degree, because their ability to tweak stuff that basically gives you a victory timer is ridiculous. So while I appreciate the offensive potential of the Dancer, I really, really like how just cozy the Bard is, you know? Just stay alive and you will become just immortal. So yeah, I don't know, I like that. That's fun. So effectively, they're just bending reality with all of their singing. And then finally, we have Finale, which nobody uses. This gives everybody, theoretically, an instant turn, but it's also about a third of the time to... 30% of the speed of their fastest songs, and half as fast as Nameless Song. So, like, realistically, at that point, just go for the Nameless Song. Like, give them more buffs. It's wild that's there. From there, we have Magic Surge and Faith Surge, if those happen to do it for you. Basically, if you're using Dash or a Throwing Rock or something like that, you can go ahead and tip their MA or their Faith up. This is potentially one of the ways to go and make this happen on top of something like the Orator. If you want to do it a little bit faster, you're just gonna have them sit there and getting dramatically more faith as they're beaten to death with stones. Apparently, not entirely sure that's how that worked, but well. Maybe in this case they just kind of have the opposite effect. They don't have any support abilities, and then they have two of the best movement abilities right here. Now, we've got movement +3, which basically breaks boss fights. This is why one of the reasons that I love running Bard on Ramza, because movement +3 is freaking ridiculous. Next to teleportation, if you're feeling risky and feeling confident, which personally I like. Teleportation makes me paranoid. I always feel like it's gonna go ahead and break something. Yeah, I know that the odds to fail are not exactly that high, but I don't want to risk it. I just it failed once, and then I never wanted to use it again. It's weird how that works. But yeah, no. As far as their movement goes, movement +3. If you ever have issues with the Weegraph boss fight, Bard plus the Squire on Ramza, and you have infinite setup time. You can just one shot him. That's it. You hit him twice and go home. Just do the Switzerland approach, and then from there you have Fly, which again I absolutely agree. Fly, not as good as Movement 3. Will I still use it instead? Yes. I just think it's cooler. Anyway, so yeah, that is about that there. Now, as far as their weapons are concerned, it's kind of fascinating because, here, let's go ahead and switch them over to Bard here real quick, since apparently I didn't use that yet. But I do like the sort of interesting layout of their weapons here. This doesn't mean that they're particularly amazing or anything, but they do have some very particular layouts here. So, for one thing, we've got stuff like the Falling Star bag, which is potentially going to give you some of the best PA altogether. So depending on what you're going for, this could be a very potent weapon. You've got stuff like the Hard Scale bag, which will give you a speed bonus if, for example, you want to trade your weapon slot here for some additional speed. Now they can infinitely boost their speed as it is, so this is kind of just here, but if you want to get a little bit of a heads up on that, you got that there. You got the Bloodstring Harp, one of a few weapons that's able to actually absorb HP. Now, this is going to only attack at a title of 3, so I phrased that super friggin' weird. Sorry about that. But yeah, it's a 3 range that it attacks from. It does give you health back when you attack with it. It's shown up kind of late, so you probably won't necessarily want to use this, but if you want to set up some kind of magical Gafgarian, there you go. I do still find it particularly funny that for how sort of mediocre a lot of the sort of health steal weapons are in the long term, they're very protective of them. Like, you can't even get the Blood Sword unless you steal it from Gaff and War of the Lions earlier on, and in this case you get the Bloodstring Harp way later, but that's just kind of whatever. Anyway, one thing that does work particularly well with them is the Proud Hide, which is going to give them permanent regen. That's just a nice, cozy kind of addition for them to have. Seeing as they're already regenerating as it is, meaning that they can sort of slot in for a little bit of a forward tank every now and then if you give them some better protection. Just potentially something to consider. You also have stuff like the Lamia Harp, which allows them to attack with Confusion, which is just kind of neat. And then you have the Catskin Bag, which is going to give them an additional MA, but there's a million other things that can do that, so that's just kind of whatever. Aside from that, they have clothes and accessories, as you'd kind of expect. So yeah, that's about that. They have interesting weapons, they've got interesting buffs. As far as support goes, like, it basically just not only prints JP, but it also goes and gives you a bunch of unique abilities. Like, if, for example, you were having issues with Elmdor or what have you, one of those things you can do is just keep spamming Rousing Melody until you basically just have infinite turns. You can keep spouting around Nameless songs in order to make sure that everybody's reasonably well protected and healing up at the same time, and really that's the only time that you'd probably switch over to something like Finale in order to give your Thief plus Mime the ability to keep going and copying that steel weapon over and over and over again. So that's a nice little cozy thing to have, but I personally like having it because it allows you to just kind of manipulate speed, MA, PA, whatever else, or trickle heal if, for example, there's any situation that you need a little bit more sustainability. It's not going to be a big instant heal, but, you know, as you potentially have seen from the fact that I'm one of the few folks that actually likes using Clerics and Tactics Ogre, I like my trickle heals. I really like finding that sort of ability to sustain off of the sort of like minimum amount that you can get consistently. I don't know, there's something very satisfying about that to me. So, either way, that is about that. Also, I should probably mention that's one of those reasons that while I absolutely love Dark Souls 2 to pieces, the fact that that regeneration ring is so awful, and yet I always want to try and rely on it, and it also blocks your eyesight while you're playing it, it's such a unique, weird, just kind of annoying quirk. My character must always look like they're covered in frickin' Fanta, but I have to try to make that shitty regeneration work. Oh well. Anyways, that's neither here nor there. That's about that. Y'all have yourselves a good one. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.